Here we get here to simplify a surd. It's very similar to how you learn how to simplify fractions. So, for instance, if you were asked to simplify 4/8, we would have to work out what factor goes into 4 and what factor goes into 8. And the factor that goes into 4 and 8, we could say is 2. So you would just divide by 2, or for the numerator and the denominator, giving you 2/4. Again, there's a factor that goes into 2 and 4, which is just 2 again. And again, divided by 2, we get 1/2. So 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2. Again, simplifying fractions, we're going to apply that same logic to simplify surds. Again, you could have just divided by 4 here. Okay, using that knowledge then, and the following fact, we also need to know that if we had root AB, this is equal to the square root of A times the square root of B. Alright, so for instance, if I had the square root of 3 times 4, this is just equal to square root of 3 to the square root of 4. Okay, which actually simplifies to 2 root 3. But that is the rule we're going to apply here for simplifying surds. Another thing that we need to look at for simplifying surds is factors. Now, we've got to think of square factors, think of square root, think of square factors. So we've got to think of our square numbers. So it's a good practice to know your square numbers. I'm going to write them down the side here. So we've got 1 times 1 is 1. We've got 4 because of 2 times 2, again 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, not missing one eye, 81, 100, 121, 144, 196, and 225. Remember, just 1 times 1, 2 times 2 equals 4, 3 times 3 equals 9, and remember they're your square numbers. Okay, so we're going to use that fact there. So for part A, we've got the square root of 8. So we've got to find we've got to look at our square numbers, so here, and we look at the biggest square number that is less than 8. Okay, so that's here, that's 4. And you see if 4 goes into 8. It does. So we have a factor of root 4. And what do we times root 4 by to get root 8? Well, that's just by timesing by root 2. Because root 4 times root 2 equals root 8. And the square root of 4 is just 2. Because that's not a surd, so we can take the square root. So we've got 2 times root 2. Again, we can't simplify root 2 any further, so our answer is just 2 root 2. And that's what we mean by simplifying surds. Part B, we have square root of 12. And again, we look at our square numbers down here. The square number less than 12 is 9. We see if 9 is a factor of 12, it isn't, because it doesn't go as a whole, as a remainder. So we have to go down, we have to go up again to 4. Looking at 4, 4 does go into 12. So I've got square root of 4, and then what do I times 4 by to get 12? Well, that's 3. So I've got square root of 4 times square root of 3. Again, the square root of 4 is just 2. So I've got 2 times root 3, which is 2 root 3. Okay, part C. So again, if I've got this time, I've got root 18. I look at the square numbers. I look for the The biggest square number that goes into 18, well, that's 16. But 16 doesn't go into 18 as a whole because it's got a remainder. So I can't do that. 9 does though. So again, I've got equals root 9 times root 2. The square root of 9 is plus or minus 3. But again, we just put 3. So 3 root 2. So we've got 3 root 2. Okay, last one I'll do. Part D, we have the square root of 32. Again, we look at our square numbers down here. What's the biggest number less than 32? Well, that's 25. 25 does not go into 32 as a whole, but 16 does. So we have the square root of 16. What do we times 16 by to get 32? Well, that's 2. So then the square root of 16 is 4. So we've got 4 times root 2. So we've got 4 root 2 as our answer. I've done A to D. You now have a go at part E, part F, all the way up to part I by yourself.